Well, hey, welcome to the Brian and Jesse podcast. Don't have Jesse with me today, but I do have Mayor Cole Stanley. Mayor Stanley, what an honor it is to have you with us today.
Man, thank you. I love that. You just reminded me, you are my second favorite Gibson.
Probably your fifth, if you put all the family together, probably the fifth.
Man, I've known you for a long time.
Yeah.
We go back a long way. So this is fantastic. And I love what you stand for. It's an honor to be here with you. Love you as a man and a person, been a good mentor to a lot of people. And then, you are just unafraid. And so you make me a better person. I'm like, man, I better get out there and start working a little harder. O'Brien's making me look bad.
Well, I appreciate it, Mayor. I think we're called, as men of God, and also Americans, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're a native West Texan. I'm a Kentuckian. So I started in Kentucky, moved to Texas, but I think we have to, I say raise a little hell for heaven, right? Somebody has to make sure that what our nation was founded on, our country was founded on, it stays where it is. And I appreciate that about you. You got Christian values, family values. You love this city. And when I think about Amarillo or West Texas, honestly, I think about Cole Stanley. It's like, who is the Amarillo guy, born and bred, blue collar? I met you at the gym in my 20s. And I think we helped put together a power team meeting way back in the day.
Yeah, we did. Those guys were tearing apart phone books. People don't even remember, probably what that is. But yeah, that was awesome. And we really were. And so definitely blue collar. It's funny, like I am native Texan, so I think fifth generation. No, I'm sorry. I'd probably be more like eighth, really. It's my fifth great granddad that, Colin McKinney. And so on my dad's side, but his grandmother. So Collin County, McKinney, Texas. So he signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. And so that's my lineage. But they came from, a good portion of my family came from Kentucky and Tennessee. So we got here a little quicker than you did, but we all got here as soon as we could, right?
That's funny. You guys are Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yeah.
There's such a connection between Kentucky and Texas. You go all the way back to Alamo, the players that showed up there. You guys needed us. Well, the Texans needed our kind.
I'm telling you, and I definitely want to be complimentary, referring to myself and everyone else as rednecks. We have that redneck blood in us that is like, it's strong, it's Southern, and it is that hospitality kind of. What I like is it's turned into that cowboy culture.
100%.
It's a Western heritage, but yeah. So. My fifth great granddad was settling Texas. He would still ride horseback in his 70s, back and forth, bringing people from Kansas to Texas. So helped to settle Texas. And so, man, I'll never leave.
Wow. When you said redneck, I was reminded I was preaching in Ireland, and a guy heard my name. He said, Gibson. He said, where Gibson? He said, do you get mad easy? Do you get riled up? I said, oh yeah, I go crazy. He said, you're red faced. You look like us. He said, I know, where are you from? I said, Kentucky. He said, your people were from Scotland, and y'all settled a village in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
And then y'all moved from Ireland to Kentucky and Tennessee. They moved into the hills. Those people served King William Billy, and so they called them hillbillies. And then he said, y'all served a Protestant king, and when you went out to war, you wore a red bandana around your neck, covered by the blood of Jesus. It was a symbol. Yeah. And they said, so they called you rednecks. I had to go to Ireland to hear that.
As much as I pretend a lot that I know what is going on and that I'm learning right here. That's the first time I'd ever heard that. I love that.
Yeah.
So rednecks from the red bandana around their necks, but really the hillbilly thing, that's even cooler. So like you think of like hillbillies, rednecks, blue collar, whatever, and it's a derogatory term for a lot of people. It's never been that way for me.
100%.
Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm a redneck. I work hard. Like, I got a sunburn half the summer because I'm outside, but like, that's such a cool education. I'm going to take that one. To
us, it means hard working, blue collar upbringing, traditional values, love and family, God and country, right?
Right.
That's what I think of.
Faith, family, freedom. Those were my three big points when I got into all this. And you're just trying to identify yourself. So it's like, hey, tell us about yourself. Well, here's what I'm about. Well, about faith first, family second, freedom. Without all three of those together, I don't want to live here. And then I think it goes to the core of like where we come from. And then if you don't know where you're coming from, how do you know where you're going? And so that's the thing about a loss of vision, and so much stuff. We were talking earlier, excellent show by Larry the Legend, legend Larry. He didn't like Halftime Halsey. I don't know that that's a good.
He wasn't into that one, huh?
But we got into a little bit of the topic, like what is the world teaching us right now? Well, it's teaching you to conform. It's teaching you to look like a zero, just be neutral. Don't be positive, don't be negative. I mean, just be complacent, just sit, just accept everything. But ultimately all that comes down to identity. And so like for me, I definitely will preach, from a leadership standpoint, what does it take to be a good leader? Man, you need two things, identity and purpose, right? Identity always precedes purpose. So if you don't know who you are, how can you go accomplish what you're supposed to do? Well, a lot of my identity comes from like knowing where I'm from. I was raised that way. Who's my granddad? What did he teach me? What do we stand for? What are our family values? What is that tribal knowledge? Knowing that part of my family's from Kentucky and that we got here and that we're rednecks. Like that's a good identity. I'm taking that one, so that's cool.
Yeah, take it and use it, Mr. Mayor. Tell me this now. Now you've served, and I believe you've done a wonderful job for Amarillo as mayor the last few years. Why would a guy like you, you've started a business from scratch, right? Successful man. You've got your licks in. You're in a place where you could do well and probably cruise now. I know that they're not making mayors rich in Amarillo, Texas from that job. It really is it's a tough job from my perspective. It's low pay. And a lot of times it's thankless. And I appreciate what you guys do to serve the community. But why would you get into this deal? Because people asked me once upon a time, would you run for mayor?
I was trying to talk you into it. I thought I'd make a good second, man. You go be the mayor. I'll run place one again.
No, you're the guy. Why are you the guy?
Well, to be realistic and always love being upfront. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew I was willing to serve. And so I believe in service over self, and I want to put myself in places where I'm impactful. I spent 5 years with a fantastic mentor, a guy named Larry Miles. I call him the Audad because he's got that Audad sheep looking goatee. He's cool. But man, he took me to TDCJ. I spent 5 years out there trying to be a volunteer chaplain and going to Echo Pod and visiting with inmates. And so why would you ever go to the prison? Well, it's a target-rich environment. I mean, like I have an eternal mindset. So if you say, well, you're successful because you've built a business and you've paid your bills, well, I don't think that's successful. I think that's the way the world defines success. So I'm not successful yet. I want to be, so I got a goal here. Like I really want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant. Well, how do you hear that? You probably needed to invest all your talents. You can't give 4 out of 5 and hear that. And then it takes some willingness to say, look, I'm as selfish as everybody else. We are all self-serving at our core. We all want a reward. And honestly, if there's not a reward, I don't think we push. But the Lord knows that. That's why he tells us, you got to know that I am and that I'm a rewarder of those that seek me. And so like, I know he's a rewarder. I just don't want money as my reward. I'm looking for that eternal success. And so because of that, I'm drawn to places that are in the trenches. And that's where the work gets done. And so I didn't know what I was getting into, but once I got into it, man, I'm committed. And so that's why I'm doing it again. I think that's the harder question is like, now that you know.
Why now? Why would you do
now
this
that you're beat up, man? Now that you've, they say like, well, now that you've lost some friends, like I haven't lost one friend. All the friends I had are all the friends I still have. What I've done is identified a few people that were never my friend. And I think that's great. But then why get back in there? You've been in so many wrestling matches. You've been this, you're getting beat up. Man, I'm a good investment. Like you have poured a ton of education and resources in me and I just want to make an impact. And so it truly, you got to balance that. There is some selfishness in it. it's just knowing that you're selfish because like you've got one boss and you want to please him. But one of the coolest things is like, I know I'm pleasing to God, like he's proud of me right now.
Yeah.
When I take a deep breath, like, and I relax, that peace is there. And when I get done at the end of the day, I'm tired, man, I'm living my best, busiest life. And I'm making less money than I've made in a long time. And they just don't equate, man. The world is just a liar. It just lies to you about, how to live. And so, that is a long way to say a very short statement of, I got one goal and I'm still pursuing it.
That's incredible. You do public service or serving a community. The blessing is you get to see what's happened when you stick around for several years. It's the same reason I pastor, right? I travel and preach out a lot, but I've been pastoring for 20 something years, and you get the reward of seeing the kid that came into the church messed up. Now, 3 years later, he's married, he's got a good job, he's got a family, he's received Christian values. Staying in a game for a period of time enables a man to see the fruit of his labor. And that's what I want, like I want you as mayor again, because I think it's hard to build something in one term. You give somebody multiple terms and you can start changing the culture, the attitude, the spirit of a place. And I know you're a guy that you don't just have goals, you create a culture. I've been around you long enough to know you're a man of discipline, and we need that in Amarillo. West Texas has its own identity, its own personality. I think you embody that. I do think our city may be at risk for outside influences trying to change who we are. I want you to speak to that. Like, where are we as a people, and how is that working in West Texas?
Well, I can get there. Let me go back. Like, if you think about it, I chose the easier of the two paths here that are on camera. Like, city politics is way easier than church politics.
Well, it's all got its edge. Oh,
man, you guys know exactly where I live, because like trying to do this job is like trying to be the pastor of a small church. Man, everybody calls you, and you're the guy. And if you want to be approachable and I am a man of the people. I'm a blue collar mayor. Like, my cell phone is on the website, and I take your phone call and I call you back. Like, I just think I just think it's cool. I think it's the right way, but that's what I would expect from my pastor. Like, I want to be able to come shake your hand on Sunday and say, do you care about my problem? Can you help me? And I think that's what you try to do. So I love that about your church, and I love that about a lot of entities in Amarillo, and we definitely embody that. How do we push back against a culture of that is being demoralized? And what I mean by that is that morals are absolute values and standards, and the way in which we behave around each other. Those are being taken away because, like, if you strip that identity away from that man, then you can strip that purpose. And without identity, without purpose, you don't have value. And if you don't have value, how do you treat another person with value? Well, now we're demoralized. So now we're just transactional, and so you lose that. Well, how do we keep that here? It's in the simple things. Respect is currency in this community. Man, when I say, how you doing, sir? When I open the door for you, when I actually want to know, are you doing okay? What I'm representing there is that Amarillo is not just a community of 200,000 people. It's a family dynamic. So my grandmother had the gift of hospitality. She lived at 4212 Gables. The house was probably all of maybe 1,100 square feet. But man, when you walked in her house, you knew you were welcome. You knew you were valued, and you knew you were cared for, and she would make you something. You were going to eat something.
Oh, yeah.
I should have been a lot bigger, probably, as well as I was fed. But with all that, I think the way that we push back is you can't let yourself drift into the way of the world. So, being not conformed has to do with what do we want to be conformed to in who we truly are, and how do we stand to represent that? The family, the nuclear family, mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, granddad, the way we treat each other in the family is the ultimate key to success in society. And as we see that being diminished, you see the attack on the family. You see the attack on marriage. And ultimately, I see that hit your bottom line in how I'm trying to manage your tax dollars, because I do pay for public safety. We do track crime, domestic violence, theft, burglary, all these things. They all come out of the dynamic of, if we lose these families, then ultimately we drift into a devaluation of each other. And it all comes down to respect and value.
Well, I love the statement, respect is currency, in West Texas. And I do see that. Those values aren't just West Texas values, those are biblical values. And so much of that's been woven into the culture here forever. And I appreciate a mayor or anyone in politics or governance that tries to hold that standard and to keep us there. A strong identity, a moral people, a respectful people. Because you're right, without a moral, respectful people, I don't even think that our Constitution can work in America, right? I think there has to be a certain ethos, there has to be a certain value,
right,
morality. And as that unravels, it does leave us to ask the question, what happens next with the culture? And I think some of the foundation that all of that is built on in the entire Western world, you look at it, comes out of the Bible, and particularly the Ten Commandments. And I know that there's the Ten Commandments are going in the city.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I started having a few conversations back as place one, and it was opportunistic because they're building a new city hall building at the time, and nothing's in front of city hall, and you got this separation of church and state that I don't agree with and doesn't really exist, but there's kind of a tolerance which just says, let's just all keep our head down and get along. Don't ever do anything that could offend. Well, then don't ever do anything, right? Just remain in that neutral position and go nowhere. Or understand that if you put it in first, second, third gear, you're going somewhere, and you can't be concerned that everybody is or is not offended. What you've got to be concerned with is, does it show respect and does it show value? And so the Ten Commandments was originally like, hey, I'm running for mayor. If I get elected, I think it's something I'd like to do. We get elected, we get in there. I've got a really strong council. Can't say more things about the quality of those other men. And so we said, let's pay for it. That way there's no tax dollars going to it, and we'll put it out in front of New City Hall. So the arguments start, and you can't do this. And so it turns out, we were able to hire a good law firm that they're charging us nothing, and they'll take care of everything but with the city. But it's the approved document per the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court approved the monument that's at Austin, Texas, at the Capitol. And so if we put that, a mirror image of that up, then it's totally allowable because it represents tradition, it represents value, and it's historic.
Sure.
And so when we were willing to pay for it, the community came in at large. And I had multiple community members saying, we want to donate. So council has since said, okay, we're not paying for it, the community's paying for it. And so Osgood LaGrone Monument Company is where people are writing checks. And I mean, you can donate $10, you can donate $100. I had a guy donate $1,000. But when that gets to Osgood LaGrone, you just mark on the check, for the Ten Commandments, and we have and are funding that monument, and then the city council just gets to accept it as a gift, and the community at large gets to put it out there in front of those flags. And so I love what it stands for. I don't mind that it's a little controversial. It's strange that thou shalt not murder is controversial, but outside of all of that, it does stand for something, and if it does stand for something and it has value, it should be controversial.
Yeah.
Because it has meaning, and I want things in front of City Hall that have meaning. I want things that direct us and beacon us back to who we are. I want things as a leader that I can point to that says, that's my document that I'm truly trying to fulfill. That's my moral motivation in how this is all worth it. Otherwise, selfishness, just let's go home. Yeah. And let's just stay inside and not worry about community. But man, community and local matters most, and I think that's what we're about with that monument.
Yeah, no lying, cheating, stealing, killing. This is pretty much what embodies, right, the Ten Commandments, and it's what most of the legal code in America came out of, and it's
everything's based on it
from biblical literature. So even if a person's not of the Christian faith like you and I are, which we're both strong believers, they have to look and say we would not have the Western culture that we have apart from the Ten Commandments, and we certainly wouldn't have the ethics that are here in West Texas.
I think it's the same way when we transact currency that says "In God We Trust," and when we put on our police vehicles, to serve and protect, "In God We Trust," and so. The acknowledgement of God is the only thing that's controversial out of the document.
Sure.
If you could just take God off of it, I think everybody would say we're happy, on that side.
Yeah.
But on our side, if you take God out of it, then I have nothing to be happy about, because you've taken my eternal perspective away, which is the only thing that really matters to me. I have no motivation if this is it outside of feeding my belly and pleasure. And this is something that, you can go through Freud and you can go psychoanalytical and you can run this thing all the way to the hilt. They all arrived at the same pursuit of life, philosophical understanding, that this life is truly worthless. It's truly worthless if that is all this is. If all of this is just what it is and we all just cease and become nothing, then you have no motivation. And so you look at this world where if you refuse to see good, you still are forced to see evil. Where does evil exist? It's easy to see it, so it's easy to believe in good, which makes me a believer in God, which puts me in a place of like, this is all worth it, and I'm here for a purpose.
That's great. I've traveled the world preaching the gospel, and this is a nation that's founded on Christian principles, founded by Christians. We have religious freedom for all faiths here, but I like to keep reminding the populace that it was the Christian faith that made this America that we live in. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate what you stand for. I appreciate your strong view on God, his touch on our nation, and also morality in government. In closing, we're about out of time, but what would you say to the people of Amarillo before we get out of here today?
I guess I'm not asking for a vote. I'm definitely not here to do that. I'm comfortable in trusting the outcomes to the Lord. I believe that He is in charge of the outcome, and so I'm going to keep working hard. And I'm not a leader because I got elected. I got elected because I'm a leader. These other people that are running, man, they're leaders, and they're good people, and I'm going to stay positive. And, I truly hate politics, but I love the game plan. And so if I can say anything about like what I'm about, I'm going to stick to the game plan. And the game plan can be inside of City Hall or it can be outside of City Hall. It doesn't matter. But the game plan is to serve and to lead by example. And so when I get an opportunity to get a microphone, I like speaking, but ultimately, actions speak way louder than words. And I think that, if you don't know where I've been and what I've been doing over the last 2 years, that's all I'm trying to do is just show you what we're about. And then, you make up your mind and it's all good from here, but, it's been a crazy, worthwhile experience, and I'm thankful. It's been hard, but I'm thankful for it, and so I'm a better person because of it, and I owe that gratitude to my taxpayer and my constituents that have put their trust in me up till now and let me serve them.
Well, and Mr. Mayor, if the people want to find more about your campaign ideas, where can they go?
Cole Stanley for Amarillo.com.
Cole Stanley for Amarillo.com.
And let me say this, don't go to Cole Stanley for Amarillo.com to find out about me and my campaign. Go and find out what your council and those group of 5 men with a strong staff and tons of leaders all over the city have accomplished, because there's a list of accomplishments on there, and you click on them, and I promise you will scroll multiple times before you get to the bottom of the list, and it's the short list.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank you for having me, man.
Hey, what an honor to have you. If you would like, share, subscribe, why don't you push this out to people from the Amarillo area that have a stake in this race, right? This is their life. This is where they live. I want them to hear from the horse's mouth, Mr. Mayor Cole Stanley. Thank you so much. Keep your gloves up. stay out of trouble. Thank you, Mr.
I
Mayor.
appreciate you, brother.
Hey, bless you, man.
Thank you.
You bet.